Many items for the use of the tabernacle have already been created, but the work is not done, and we are going to see more of Bezalel. Exodus 38:1. Bezalel made the burnt offering altar of acacia wood. Its top was 5 cubits square, and it was 3 cubits high. We went over the dimensions and the particular sizes in the blueprint portion of this. As a quick reminder, a cubit is about 18 inches or 45 centimeters. Exodus 38:2. He made its horns on the 4 corners of it. The horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. 38:3. He made all the utensils and vessels of the altar, the pots, shovels, basins, forks, and flesh hooks, and fire pans. All its utensils and vessels he made of bronze. So if we remember, we first start out in the center. We have the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant is, and the mercy seat. Everything's made out of gold, so we see the purest of metals. Then as we work our way out, leaving the Holy of Holies, we enter the tabernacle proper, which the Holy of Holies is inside of, but whatever. And inside there we got the menorah, we got the altar of incense, and we have the table of showbread. They're all overlaid with gold as well. And then we have the outer border, the frame, the walls of the tabernacle, and they're made of the acacia wood, covered as well in gold. The sockets, the foundation blocks that hold up these boards, they're actually made out of silver. So as we get further away, we're going to see trends like that. Now over top of the tabernacle, the actual tent itself, we first have a curtain which is made up of different colors of linen, and it's embroidered with cherubim, and it kind of it's made in 2 pieces, and it kind of latches together with gold clips. And then we have a layer over top of that first layer, the second layer, the second curtain. The second curtain is made of goat's hair, and it's got 2 pieces. One is longer than the other, and the one drapes over the back, and it creates the back of the tabernacle. And these 2 pieces are joined together with bronze. So going from one layer to the next, we move down a metal. We go from gold to bronze. The third layer, which is no longer referred to as a curtain, it is referred to as a covering, is the red ram skins. And the fourth layer is, of course, the porpoise or dolphin, or some other translations have it as badger skins, a tough animal skin that will give that final layer of protection to protect all the layers that are under it. So each layer kind of protects the layer under it and is a little bit more robust than the previous one. But anyway, the clasps that join the sections of these other 2 coverings are also brass. Like that is like the minimum standard. It's a good metal to work with. It's nice and strong, it endures, and as far as our Bible symbology goes, it's a good metal. So we have the tabernacle, the tent, and then we have the courtyard outside of the tabernacle, the sanctuary, and this is where this altar is going to be, this altar that we just saw being created. It's made of the acacia wood, and it's overlaid with the bronze. And the bronze is really good for that because there's fire and there's animals that are going to be burnt on there, and they're heavy, and it would be easy to damage it, but because it's made of bronze, it will be able to endure. Whereas a softer metal like the gold, it would probably not last very long. Gold is a very soft metal, but bronze is very resilient, and it's got good thermal properties as well. So we have our altar covered in bronze, and we have all the tools to use with the altar made of bronze. Exodus 38:4, and he made for the altar a bronze grate of network under its ledge, extending halfway down it. 38:5, he cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the bronze grating, to be placed for the poles with which to carry it. 38:6, and he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with bronze. 38:7, and he put the poles through the rings on the altar's sides, with which to carry it. He made it hollow with planks. So it sounds like the altar was made the same way it was specified in the previous chapter. We essentially have a square box with a grate on it that the animals are placed on the grate, and then they're cooked, and the ashes fall through to the bottom. We have a fire from underneath that kind of cooks everything, and then there's bronze tools for doing all the stuff. There's rings on it so that the poles can go through. The poles go through the rings, and then the whole altar is able to be moved around, as the Israelites are going to be on their wilderness wanderings very soon. Exodus 38:8. He made the laver and its base of bronze from the mirrors of the women who ministered at the door of the tent of meeting. Back in those days, mirrors were a lot more challenging to make, and they were often made of bronze. There was also mirrors that were made of silver as well. I think that was later on. And then you have like silver coated glass, and that's what I think a lot more modern mirrors are made. But previously, back in the day, back in historical Egypt, they had mirrors that were essentially polished brass, and they would be reflective, and then they could be used for viewing reflections. So we have the women here that they have these mirrors. They're probably quite valuable, and they probably really enjoyed having them, but they are giving them to the Lord, and they've been melted down, and they're making this laver, which is essentially a washing basin, so that the priest will be able to wash their hands and feet when they're doing their activities with the different types of offerings. So that's kind of neat. Exodus 38:9. And he made the court for the south side. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. 38:10. Their pillars and their bronze sockets or bases were 20. The hooks of the pillars and their joinings were silver. 38:11. And for the north side the hangings were also 100 cubits. Their pillars and their sockets or bases of bronze were 20. The hooks of the pillars and their joinings were of silver. 38:12. But for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars and their sockets or bases were 10. The hooks of the pillars and their joinings were of silver. So what we have here is the description of these posts. Essentially, they're like almost like a form of fence post, and they go around the entire perimeter of the tabernacle courtyard. And the bases of them, they have a foundation stone that the wood goes inside of, and that is made of bronze. And they have a hook on the top of them made of silver that this giant curtain is going to be hung upon, that goes around the whole outside perimeter of the area. Exodus 38:13. And for the front, the east side, 50 cubits. 38:14. The hangings for one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets or bases 3. 38:15. Also for the other side of the court gate, left and right were hanging of 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets or bases 3. So the tabernacle court is 100 cubits by 50 cubits, and it's a square. That works out to be about a little bit more than a quarter acre, or 1,044 square meters. So it's a decent size. It's not tiny, it's not gigantic. And we have the gate here being described as 15 feet on one side, 15 feet on the other. So 15 plus 15 is 30, minus 50 is 20. So we have a 20 cubit gate here. So that's a good size gate. So we're looking at 30 feet or 9 meters as the size of the gate. That seems awfully large. The big gate is probably necessary for some of these larger animals that are going to be used as sacrifices. So it's definitely functional. Exodus 38 and 16, all the hangings around the court were of fine twined linen. This is just kind of a description of the curtain that goes around the whole outside perimeter of the tabernacle. Unlike a lot of the other materials that we saw previously with all the different colors, this is just uncolored linen, so it'll be kind of a white color, the symbol of purity. Exodus 38 and 17, the sockets for the pillars were of bronze, the hooks of the pillars and their joinings of silver, the overlapping of their tops of silver, and all the pillars of the court were joined with silver. 38 and 18, the hanging or screen for the gate of the court was embroidered in blue, purple, and scarlet stuff, and fine twined linen. The length was 20 cubits, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, corresponding to the hangings of the court. 38 and 19, the pillars were 4, and their sockets of bronze 4. Their hooks were of silver, and the overlaying of their tops and their joinings were of silver. 38 and 20, all the pegs for the tabernacle and around the court were of bronze. So here we have some more descriptions of things as they're constructed. We have the gate, the door, the nice sheet that is going to be used with it, for it, and the embroidery that's on that and the colored thread. Cool stuff. More sockets and things for the different pillars. The corners, of course, are different than everything else. And then we have the silver bars that go through. There's rings that are on the pillars, and then these silver bars go through them, and it kind of holds the tops together. Or maybe it's at the midpoint. I'm not entirely sure how they were constructed, whether or not it was a... Well, actually, I guess it probably would make more sense that it would be in the middle, because then it would be easier to assemble. Right? It's just a method of holding the distance between the individual pillars so they don't come closer or further apart. It kind of holds everything together. It's like a structural thing. For the sheet that is used to go around the perimeter, it doesn't really add anything as far as structural strength goes. So the silver bars are kind of what holds that all together. I've seen some artistic renditions that also have pegs. And maybe that's what it's talking about here of pegs, that it's like a tent post that they're nailed into the ground, and then like a rope or something is used to kind of hold everything in line. But I'm not entirely sure if that's what's going on there or not. Just thought I'd mention that. Exodus 38:21. This is the sum of those things for the tabernacle of the testimony, as counted at the command of Moses, for the work of the Levites, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the high priest. 38:22, Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. 38:23, with him was Aholiab, son of Athishmach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, a skillful craftsman and embroiderer in blue, purple, and scarlet stuff, and in fine linen. So we're going to see the sum of all these items. There was a lot of gold, a lot of silver, a lot of bronze, and we're kind of getting almost like the credits of these guys here that did a lot of this hard work here. Exodus 38:24, all the gold that was used for the work and all the building and furnishing of the sanctuary, the gold from the offering was 29 talents and 730 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary. So that works out to be about 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds. As of June 6, 2025, gold is about $108,000 a kilogram. So that's about $108 million. Definitely quite the sum of money. There is a very large amount of gold that is used here. The part of this that I find the most fascinating is that Israel, the Israelites, they were down in Egypt for all those years being slaves, and they probably, maybe got some gold jewelry here and there, but I mean, they were living as slaves, so they probably weren't tremendously wealthy by any means. But when they went to leave, they got their back pay by asking of the people around them, and they got a lot of this uh, gold at that juncture in time. And here we go, a couple months later, they got 1,000 kilograms to use in the service of the Lord in building this tabernacle. This wasn't all the wealth that Israel had at this point in time, for we read earlier about them telling them to stop the collection because they had too much. So it's kind of interesting. There wasn't that many Israelites, but the amount of wealth that they had seemed to be tremendous. Exodus 38:25. And the silver from those numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels by the sanctuary standards. So that works out to be around 7,500 pounds or 3,400 kilograms. So this works out to be about $4 million worth of silver, which is a lot of silver. I think the majority of the silver used was likely used in those foundation blocks, those sockets as they are referred to in this translation that we're looking at, and it's definitely a lot of silver. Silver is half the density of gold, so it probably looked like there was way more silver than there was gold. Not only in absolute weight, but in the density as well, that there was just a ton of silver that would have been used. Exodus 38:26. A beka for each man, that is half a shekel by the sanctuary shekel, for everyone who was counted from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 men. We read about this previously a number of chapters ago, and God explained how to do a census in the way that he wanted it done. So every man that was over 20 years old had to give half a shekel. The coin that is the half a shekel is the beka. And then after all of the survey was done, the coins were counted, and there was 603,550 coins. Exodus 38:27. The 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets or bases of the sanctuary and of the veil. 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. Well, there we go. So speculation has now been confirmed by the scriptures in a following sentence. So there's 100 sockets, and each socket is 1 talent of silver. So they're a good weight. Exodus 38:28. Of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars and overlaid their tops and made joining for them. 38:29. The bronze of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. So the hooks and stuff were made out of the remaining shekels. Then we have the bronze. We're looking at 4,700 pounds, 2,130 kilograms. It's a lot harder to find the value of bronze. We don't really trade it like we do gold and silver as far as precious metals go. But I was looking at one thing, and it said about $12 a kilogram. So that would be like $40,000. So the interesting thing when trying to convert some of these values here to their monetary amount in modern day currencies is just how much this has changed over the years. And a lot of this has to do with fiat currency and printed money. Paper money doesn't really have any value other than what people ascribe to it. And the more that they print, the less it is worth. And that's why when you read some different books of different commentaries of the Bible over the years, the value has changed tremendously, even a few years ago. It's not that gold is worth so much more now than it used to be. A lot of precious metals. It's kind of interesting how they work. So if you had a gold coin back in the day, back in the Roman era, you could buy a nice suit of armor with it. And you could take that same gold coin, you have it today, the same amount of gold, and you could exchange that and go and buy like an Armati suit. So the relative buying power of gold is about the same, but it just seems like it keeps going up in value. But it's not that gold is getting more valuable, it's that the paper money around it is just becoming more and more worthless as they print more and more money with this runaway system of inflation. So it's kind of cool how that works. I mean, it kind of sucks. All the money that you work for becomes worthless, but that is the nature of the game, I guess. I don't think the thing to look at is necessarily how much it would have cost to make this or what the value of this was, but that the people were willing to give to the Lord to have this tent be made. They gave of their best to make it, and that's kind of what's cool about the tabernacle. Slaves on the run from Egypt, just gaining their freedom and celebrating the Lord God. That's just wonderful. It's been a rocky road, and it's going to continue to be rocky for quite some time. Exodus 28 and 30. With it Bezalel made the sockets for the door of the tent of meeting, and the bronze altar, and the bronze grate for it, and all the utensils of the altar. 38:31. The sockets of the court round about, and of the court gate, and all the pegs of the tabernacle, and around the court. So there we go. We have all these sockets, these remainder of sockets made out of bronze. I wonder if they were made in the same cast manner as those silver ones. I think the density of silver and bronze are not too far from one another. Not like gold. Gold is tremendously dense, but depending on which type of bronze, some people even said it was copper. It's not all that different from a silver, so it's interesting. I mean, they might have used a different mold as well, but we'll see.